So video footage has emerged of Tyson Fury being escorted out of a bar in Morecambe where he lives for being too drunk. Now, when they say too drunk, if you look at the footage, Fury was absolutely paralytic. He literally couldn't stand on his own, and he crawled out of the entrance of the bar on his hands and knees. That's what the footage shows. And he appeared to fall forward and hit his head on a post. So he was totally out of it. Now, Alexander Usyk went on a podcast the other day, and one of the first questions that they asked him was if he's watched the fight back. And he said yes, he's watched the fight back several times, and he did so with a notepad, jotting down all the mistakes he made in the fight, such that he can correct them for the rematch. Folks, we're 6 months away from the proposed date of the rematch. 6 months. And yet this guy is preparing already. Understand the type of mentality he has. Understand the type of character he is. If you look up the term consummate professional, Alexander Usyk's picture is going to be right next to it. This guy's serious. One of the reasons that Alexander Usyk was able to beat Tyson Fury, despite being older and much smaller, is because he doesn't do stuff like this. He looks after himself. And so I find it quite curious. In fact, these people, to me, are clearly in denial. Comments on this video from Tyson Fury fans saying, oh, leave Tyson alone. There's nothing wrong with getting drunk, this, that, and the other. We've all done it. These idiots, of course, are completely missing the point. Yeah, if Tyson Fury wants to get drunk and do whatever, that's up to him. And most people have done it. But most people don't have a rematch with Alexander Usyk scheduled for December. It's stuff like this that led to Tyson Fury getting beat in the first place. I mean, if you go back and watch Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder in the second fight, he was actually heavier for that fight than he was against Alexander Usyk. But his body looks more solid. His body looks more healthy in the second Wilder fight than it did against Usyk. He has aged considerably. And so, although in terms of linear time, Tyson Fury is a younger man than Usyk, I'm saying he's aged more rapidly. Usyk literally looks like a younger man. His body, his face, everything, because he's looked after himself. Tyson Fury hasn't. That's the whole point. That's why it's a problem for Tyson Fury to be doing this if he's going to fight Usyk again in December. Now, Johnny Nelson doubts that Tyson Fury is actually going to go ahead with the rematch. He thinks that Tyson Fury is really going to struggle mentally. And if this footage is anything to go by, then he might have a point. Now, I'm not saying that Fury's not going to go ahead with the rematch. It's possible he won't, but I'm not going to make that claim here. What I will say, though, is to stand any serious chance of winning a rematch against Usyk, he needs to come to terms with what actually happened the first time. If he is still trying to convince himself that he got jobbed on the scorecards, then he can forget about beating Usyk. It's not going to happen. And he's got all these people around him, like his brother Tommy, reinforcing this delusion that he got jobbed on the cards. Tommy Fury was at some type of charity football match the other day, and speaking about the fight his brother had with Usyk, he said that Tyson completely dominated the first 6 rounds of the fight, and that Usyk only picked up 1 or 2 rounds late in the fight. I mean, what a load of absolute rubbish. If Tyson's got guys like that around him, he's got not a hope in hell of beating Usyk in the rematch. All these backslappers and people feeding his delusions. It's exactly what I was saying after Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury. That if Wilder's gonna get his revenge over Fury, he needs to get all this nonsense out of his head. He needs to come to terms with the reality of what happened in that second fight. And the reason this is important is because it facilitates improvement. It's like an alcoholic, right? They say that the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. If you don't admit you have a problem, you're going to continue with your bad habits. Tyson Fury had problems in the Usyk fight. His defense was too open. His fitness wasn't good enough. He elected to use the wrong strategy. If you tell yourself that you were jobbed on the cards when you actually weren't, then you're going to focus more on judges and selecting officials that you think are going to give you a fair shake, rather than focusing on what you should be focusing on, which is improving your game. Usyk won the fight, and yet he's already got a pen and a pad out, and he's looking through the first fight, highlighting all his mistakes, so he can start working on erasing those mistakes for the rematch. Again, we're 6 months away. That is the mentality that Tyson Fury needs to have. But instead, he's doing this. That no make it. You see, for fighters like Tyson Fury in situations like this, becoming delusional is the easy way out. Because Tyson Fury is inconsistent in his training, has been for years. He yo-yos up and down in weight. We saw that for the Ngannou fight. He's not used to training at the level of intensity and being as disciplined as someone like Alexander Usyk. So in order for Tyson Fury to get in the kind of shape he was in for the Usyk fight, it took a monumental effort from him. And this is why I really scratch my head when I I hear people like Vidal Riley claiming that Tyson Fury is a dead cert to win the rematch because Usyk can't raise his game to that same level again. Usyk is the one who's always been consistent, Vidal. Fury's the one who's been inconsistent. So how do you figure that Usyk won't be able to raise his game to that level again, but Fury will actually be able to surpass the level he performed at in the first fight? Make it make sense. Usyk is used to pushing himself in the gym. Derek Chisora spent a little bit of time with Alexander Usyk in the run-up to the Fury fight, and he basically said that Usyk kind of spooked him in terms of whether Fury would actually be able to beat him. He said he realized that Usyk is actually more crazy, far more crazy than Tyson Fury is. He said on fight week, Usyk was doing dozens of kilometers of cycling out in the Saudi desert in the scorching midday heat. He's not a cruiserweight anymore. He doesn't have to cut weight. You can weigh whatever you want as a heavyweight. And yet Usyk was doing this maniacal training on fight week. This is not a normal fighter, okay? You get these types of characters at the elite level, at the all-time great level. Not all of the all-time greats are like this, but many of them are. This obsessive, maniacal mindset. And this is what makes these people very hard to beat when they stay in that mode, as Usyk has his whole career. So the form book shows that Usyk is more likely to be able to replicate or even improve on what he did last time, at least from a technical perspective. Whereas with Tyson Fury, it took such a monumental effort for him to get himself in the kind of shape he was in last time. And it wasn't good enough. What effect do you think that's going to have on his psychology? Tyson Fury would have absolutely hated that training camp because he doesn't live the life. He's not a guy like Usyk that does all that crazy stuff all the time. No. Fury likes to kick back, get drunk, eat pizzas, so on and so forth. He enjoys the adulation and what have you that came with being a world heavyweight champion, of course. And he enjoys fighting. But clearly, looking at Tyson Fury's physical constitution, he doesn't enjoy training quite so much. He doesn't enjoy sticking to a strict diet quite so much. Abstaining from alcohol quite so much. So I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if this rematch goes ahead and Tyson Fury doesn't sort his head out, and I'm not just talking about starts eating right, laying off the booze, but also comes to terms with what happened the first time, accepts the fact that he got beaten fair and square. If he doesn't do that, then he is doomed in a rematch. And he's not only going to lose again, but it will be far more decisive second time around. I'm saying he'll probably get stopped within 8-9 rounds. So the man needs to get his act together. Fury has always had talent, but talent can take you but so far at the top level. You have to marry that talent with discipline, activity, and work ethic. You must, because if you don't, this is what happens to you. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Tyson Fury on a pub crawl. I mean, literally on a pub crawl. Paralytic drunk. No one's judging him here for getting drunk like the majority of the British public do from time to time. But as I said earlier on, the majority of the British public don't have a rematch with Alexander Usyk scheduled for December. Tyson Fury does. If you don't see this as a problem, then you've obviously got a problem. It's just that simple. The man needs to come to terms with the fact he got beat fair and square. Accept it, own it, and use that as motivation to be better next time around. Be in even better shape. Work on that defense. Get your hands up more. Be more assertive in the fight. If you let this little guy come at you and dictate the pace, then you're going to get tired before he does. And that's what happened in the first fight. You need to be the one that pushes him back. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. I'll leave it there.